Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Block Party number 55. It's great to be joined by Megna and James and Marco and Alan. And I'm going to give a brief overview of basically what are we up to here? Who are we? Why are we here? What's going on? What's the big deal? What's everybody talking about? So the overview starts with um, we are in the middle of not only a planetary crisis in terms of exponential planetary overheating, melting of ice, burning of forests, burning of the Amazon, Australia, California, water crises, the sixth mass extinction. We're also in the midst of a crisis of humanity, right? Humanity as a species, we seem to have lost our way and forgotten why we're here and what is the nature of life and our role in life. As Dr. Silas Rao says, um, we should be the caretaker species, Homo ahimsa, but instead we have become something different from that in aggregate. Obviously, there are lots of good people in the world, all of us included, who do good things. However, in aggregate, humanity has been on a very destructive path in so many ways that we're all familiar with. So, planetary crisis, human crisis, what do we do, right? And I will share my perspective. And while I'm talking, I invite you all to jump in with any questions or comments. And we like to pass the talking feather around. And also, if you ever want me to pause recording, just do this or say, hey, Jamin, please pause. No problem. Never a problem. We can pause, restart 100 times. Never a problem. So my perspective is that the first, I'm going to talk about this kind of like layers. Like imagine we're building a skyscraper or something, and you go to a construction site. They first dig down deep, 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 and put in these deep concrete foundations, right? So I'll talk about the foundational layer, and then I'll talk about a platform on top of that foundation. And then I'll talk about what we can build on top of that platform. And I'll show some pictures and draw some pictures along the way. But most of the time I like to just be on camera so we can see each other and use my hands and facial expressions. I'm a little bit of a frustrated actor. I guess I should have been a Hollywood star or something. Just kidding. But anyway, I like to I like to spice it up a bit. And so in terms of a foundational layer, and this is something, James, I don't even think we've talked about before, but the foundational layer that I'm thinking of is that humanity needs to embrace that we have something which I'll call collective agency. We have agency. We have the potential to transform who we are and how we relate to each other and how we relate to life on Earth, the rest of life on Earth, and Mother Earth as a whole. We have agency. We have this tremendous latent potential, right? But a lot of people either don't see that or refuse to see that. Say, no, 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 right? For example, I have a relative the other day, I was talking with an elder in my family, and they said, oh, I was talking about all these changes we need to make. We need to feed everyone. We need to cool the planet. We need to do this. And she said, no, no, no. The only way that you can make any change is you need to work with powerful politicians. Because in her mind, that's the only way anything will ever get done is if you work with powerful politicians. You by yourself, oh, no, you can't do anything. Or you with a group of other people who aren't powerful politicians, no, 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 you're not going to do anything. Right. Now, She's over 90 years old. I love her to the end of the earth, and she's entitled to her opinion, right? I'm not going to try to change her mind. I'll share with her what I think. But for me, that's just an example from my own family of people who don't believe we have agency. We have power. I believe we have tremendous power. And I will use an analogy of a dance, right? I spent over 5 years of my life living in Mexico. I love Mexico. And many years ago, I think like in the 90s, there was this song that became a dance, which many of you have heard of, called the Macarena. And it goes, dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para darle alegría cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, hey Macarena. And then you jump and you turn 90 degrees. Well, within a few months, all of Mexico was dancing the Macarena. And a lot of people in the United States as well. So I believe that there is a particular dance that we can do, all of us together, a collective dance called, I'm just going to use the acronym THIS, THIS, which Dr. Silas Rao came up with. Transform, heal, and intentionally save. THIS. Transform, heal, and intentionally save life on earth. Right? Let's call it the this, or this is it. Right? And I believe that we can all get into that dance, and it only takes one of us to start the dance. Right? Well, here there are 5 of us. So let's start the dance. Now, how does that dance go? Well, it starts with a foundation of agency, and it starts with a conversation about agency, right? Because, some people may have kind of a halfway view of agency. Yeah, well, I guess theoretically we can change, but maybe in their heart they feel, nah, it's not going to work, right? No. We need to go into this dance committed to winning the worldwide dance competition. We need to go in knowing with our minds and our hearts that we are going to succeed, right? Okay, so agency, full-on agency, a solid foundation, not concrete that's going to crack or crumble, but solid reinforced concrete foundation. Agency, we have it, we're going to do it. We just need to perfect the dance and then share the dance. The this is it dance. Okay. On top of this foundation, the next thing we're going to build is a platform, right? Now, this platform, I'm going to use a lot of analogies here, but the platform, you could think of it sort of like Facebook, but not really, because there's too much evil associated with Facebook. Think of it more like a distributed platform, maybe like the internet herself. Internet 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Think of it as an evolved version of the internet, but it's really at its heart, it is an internet of conversations. We are having right here, right now, a transformational conversation, right? And the conversation we're having is transformational because it is about saving, healing, and transforming life on earth. Now, this is one of many transformational conversations that are happening out there, right? And one really interesting element of this is that these transformational conversations barely even know about each other, right? We are all isolated, right? We're like a bunch of computers in 1980. Yeah, each one of these computers works, but they're not connected to each other because there was no internet. in 1980, right? Outside of a few offices in Bell Labs or something being connected, or a Xerox Park or something like that, there was no internet. So right now there are all these transformational conversations happening here, there, and everywhere, but we're totally disconnected, right? And not if we connect, but when we connect. All of these transformational conversations will form the basis for something we refer to as collective superintelligence, right? Collective intelligence is something that's been studied and exists in many different forms. Any corporation has collective intelligence, any nonprofit, any government. Now, it may be dysfunctional, right? The United States government is certainly very dysfunctional, but they have collective intelligence. They have email, they've got phone, fax, procedures, meetings, all kinds of stuff. Collective superintelligence is different, right? And it's something that we talk a lot about here. And, we can speculate about different facets of it. But at its core, what collective superintelligence consists of is first and foremost a network of conversations that's highly connected, right? Now, just like we are recording this conversation, we have the technology to transcribe into text all these conversations. So just imagine that in this internet of conversations, all these conversations that are happening, imagine that they're transcribed in real time, recorded in real time, and some of them, if they choose, could be broadcast in real time. This one's not being broadcast, but it could be, right? And imagine that the body of all of the transcripts of all of these transformational conversations is indexed and made searchable, like what Google does, right? And so you could say, hey, show me all the conversations that are, talking about SRM, solar radiation management, my favorite technique for cooling the planet, right? And let's say I do an advanced search. Yeah, show me all the conversations that are talking about SRM, solar radiation management, that include at least 2 scientists or engineers who are talking about it, because I don't want to just hear about enthusiasts. I want to hear from people who are technical, who've studied this from a technical standpoint or whatever. Or show me all those conversations that include at least 1 scientist or engineer and at least 1 politician. I want to know, I want to see this interaction between politicians and scientists and engineers or whatever. So part of what's going to make this a collective superintelligence is this ability to do advanced search and really zero in on exactly those conversations that you want to be a part of, right? Now, let's say, for example, that you do this advanced search and nothing comes up. Just hypothetically, let's say that you find a bunch of meetings where scientists and engineers are talking to each other about SRM, and other meetings where politicians are talking to each other about SRM. You could do this search and say, hey, show me where both are happening. Oh, they're not happening? Well, they should. And you can put in a request or a suggestion. You could even offer to host a meeting, right? So there's all these different modalities, and there what you're actually doing is you're jumping in and you're changing the network. You're rewiring the network. Sometimes groups of us will go from here to another meeting, and we call it a field trip. We take a field trip, right? And we pop into another meeting and say, hi, we're here from the conversation. We're here to, we understood you were talking about this and we're interested. Great. So there's all kinds of ways that we can cross-pollinate, right? Now, I'm talking about some kind of advanced scenarios, but let's dial it back to something much simpler, right? A directory. Imagine there were like a directory, an online directory of all the different conversations that are happening out there in the world. How cool would that be? That would be super cool, right? And it could be organized by topic and subtopic and sub-subtopic. We could imagine a whole inverted tree-like taxonomy of topics, and you could browse around or search or whatever. Okay. This, to me, is something that I've gotten very frustrated about, and we're in the middle of fixing it, like literally in the next couple weeks or so, is to actually create this directory. It does not yet exist. It's crazy. Here we have all the technology for an internet of conversations. You have Zoom, Google Hangouts, Skype, all these great solutions for video conferencing. And yet there's no internet of conversations. We've had the internet firmly established for like 3 decades, right? And tens of trillions of dollars invested. What's going on? What are we missing? This is what the internet was made for, right? And yet it hasn't happened yet. So I could just keep on being frustrated, but instead we're going to make it happen. We're participating with different groups working on making this happen. And we believe it should be decentralized instead of owned by one particular organization, or worse, owned by a for-profit corporation like Facebook. I don't know if you've seen the documentary, The Social Dilemma, but it's just all about the evils of combining profit making with social networking. So here, what we're really talking about and working towards is a benevolent network of conversations, building towards becoming a true collective superintelligence, right? Because once we have a collective superintelligence, you can type in any question or dictate any question, and it will index the database of all the transcripts of all the conversations that have ever happened to see if that question has been posed before, and if so, has it been answered? Maybe it has multiple answers. All right, which ones get the highest ratings relative to what? All these are very important questions that need to be explored and answered. And but once you have that, and then let's say you ask some really tough question, that doesn't have an acceptable answer, like why haven't we implemented SRM yet to cool the planet, right? Well, some people might have offered questions, but the reality is that none of those answers will be acceptable, because the only acceptable answer is we are implementing it right now. So yes, it'll show you all the different answers, but then most importantly, direct you to those conversations that are addressing this question right now. Can you imagine? It's one thing to go to Google and say, blah, 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 and then you see a bunch of text. All that text is text that was written days ago, months ago, years ago, decades ago, right? What about conversations that are happening right now? That's when it gets really interesting, when you can plug right in, right? And so anyway, that's collective superintelligence. So all that will be supported by a platform, but the bulk of the collective superintelligence will be people. What the platform really facilitates is kind of like a match.com, connecting these people over here with these other people over here so they can have a conversation and sort out whatever they need to sort out, have it all transcribed, have that transcription uploaded into the index, be indexed so that other people who search can A, see what you said, and B, see who you are and where you are now, right? Hey, I really like that answer that Meghna said. Where is she now? Oh, she's in this conversation about SRM and finance right now. Oh, really? Can I join? Click. And if you're in a conversation that has open doors, yeah, you just come right in, right? As long as you're not a convicted narcissist. You see, some people come into conversations and they're very disruptive and they have a big ego and they don't shut up. I don't know anyone like that. Just kidding. But, and so if people are rude or they interrupt or they don't listen or whatever, just like somebody gets a speeding ticket and they get enough of those, they can't drive anymore for a while, right? Or maybe they have to go to Cambodia and get re-educated or something like that by the Khmer Rouge driving school. But in any case, there should be rules of the road, shall we say, or creative agreements. And now, who would enforce those? I think the ideal is some blockchain distributed solutions where everything is voluntary. And you can say, hey, yes, I voluntarily submit to, be tested and, scored and whatever according to some system, precisely so that I can get in here and get in there and get in everywhere. But if I say, no, I don't want to be tested, I don't want to be evaluated, then I'm just Mr. Question Mark. Now, some meetings will be open to Mr. Question Mark to just show up, but a lot of them say, no, you need some minimum certifications. Why not, right? Okay. But I believe it should all be voluntary. I don't think the government should get into this. And I think there are really great things happening out on the blockchain, the world of decentralized ledgers and NFTs and all that. There's all kinds of great stuff happening. So we have really good Lego blocks to build with for what we're talking about. So again, collective superintelligence consists of software, platform, and of course, all the communication technologies. I think in terms of ICT, information and communication technologies. It covers the whole gamut. Computers, software, high-speed internet, it's all there. Okay. So the platform for collective superintelligence consists of ICT plus people, right? Simple. Okay. So let's review what we've talked about so far. So far, we've talked about a foundation of agency. Yes, we can change the world. And we believe in changing the world. We believe the world is worth saving and that it's worth our time and our emotion, our heart, our spirit, our passion, our creativity. That's the foundation, agency, collective agency. It's almost like a religion. Either you get it or you don't. Either you believe in it or you don't. Right? Okay. But it's not really a religion. It's not like there's some text that was written 5,000 years ago that we're all supposed to believe and believe. And no. It's something that we co-create right now in the moment. Right? Okay. So agency. That's the foundation. The platform built of ICT for collective superintelligence. The community, all these conversations, when they finally hear that there's a platform for collective superintelligence, they'll be like, what? Huh? Right? And of course, they'll want to jump in, right? They will be like world-class swimmers walking through the desert, dry sand, no water, but they're world-class swimmers. They were born to swim. And then suddenly they see this beautiful oasis with palm trees and a big swimming pool. They're going to jump in. That's what the platform for collective superintelligence will be, that irresistible swimming pool for world-class swimmers in the desert. Because right now, all these transformational conversations are happening in a desert. There's no swimming pool. There's no platform for collective superintelligence. There's just Zoom, hit and miss. If you're lucky enough to hear about this conversation, you get the link and you click on it and here you are. But we're all these little isolated conversations in a huge Sahara desert. Let's make some swimming pools. Let's make one giant swimming pool where everyone can jump in, and then we can all start splashing it up together. That's the mission. Okay. And just jump in with any questions or comments. Marco, you unmuted your microphone.
Yeah, no, that was excellent. Thank you for that overview.
Oh no, I'm just getting warmed up, but there's much more to say. But in the meantime, please ask me any questions or comments that you have.
No, nothing. I would have to step out at 2 o'clock because I'm working right now.
Okay, let me cut to the chase. So we have 3 minutes then, right?
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, on top of these two foundations, agency and collective superintelligence, we will develop the optimal strategy for saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. The best strategy we've come up with so far is to start with feeding everyone plant-based foods. That's the best thing for people and the best thing for the planet, because we get rid of animal agriculture and the destruction of the Amazon and forests and rainforests and everything else. Okay. And once we do that, once we show that we can feed everyone, it's very simple to extend from there to say we can also provide housing for everyone and healthcare, right? And once we do that, we liberate humanity from the all-day monopoly game of individual hoarding for individual survival, which is destroying the planet and destroying the soul of humanity. Okay? As we liberate humanity, then humanity will suddenly stop gasping for breath. Finally put on the oxygen mask. And then, just like they tell you in the airplanes, now that you have your oxygen mask on, now you can turn to the passenger sitting next to you. Well, it turns out that the passenger sitting next to us is a woman. It's our mother. It's Mother Earth. But only when we can breathe can we finally help her put on her oxygen mask. And only then will we be able to properly see SRM, solar radiation management, and all the other things that follow after that. But first, for humans, it's food first, and shelter, healthcare, community, et cetera, et cetera. For Mother Earth, it's food first, plant-based food, and then SRM, planting trees, cleaning up the oceans, and on and on and on and on.
Yes. That was so well said. Because it's funny. It's so funny that I had the same thought process. I was like, solving food will. It's like humans have a, when when you try to solve all of the social issues, you still solve them because you have like, okay, I see a human in them, so like still me, right? When you like transcend and you cross that line to like another species, like speciesism, and that's when it's like you truly feel more like, I guess the ego goes down and feel like more love towards just everything, and then that would then people will see, oh, you want to do good to everything. Yeah. That's exactly what I had, and that's exactly how you put it. But it's, and another thing that was really nice is even with these things, when people get too worked out about like we have to do this right now, and like even with the vegan stuff or like plant-based food, you still have to like save yourself first. So a lot of them, then you have to like calm down and go and make that change yourself, and then you can start. That's This is because some people say that personal change doesn't matter. So I'm like, if you don't make the change, how would you like really know what it takes and then think of ideas? And yeah, that as well. No, this is it's very wonderfully put. It's so funny. Like I've had a similar thought process, like in so many ways, but this is so well structured. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
that.
you, Magna.
Yeah.
That's very good confirmation. So
Yeah.
anyway, in a nutshell, that's what we're up to here. And we're working on all these multiple levels at the same time, all the way through to the implementation of the food solution, which is what we're doing in Los Angeles with two programs that have come together, Food Healers and We Are Uno. And we're bringing these two together And we'll talk about that more this evening at the Food Healers program from 7 to 9.
At 7. Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna make it. Okay, I shall head out now. But this was wonderful. I'm so glad I joined. It's nice knowing that there are people out there. It's just nice. Being isolated and working on these things feels like you don't really know that other people are thinking of the same thing. I'm like, there's no way in hell I could be the only one thinking about this. But
No,
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 it's
no,
just
no.
wonderful.
And we're finally coming together, which is the purpose of the platform for collective
Yep,
superintelligence, is to bring us
yep,
together. And then
yep.
together we can make all this happen.
Yeah, no, that's actually very important. Instead of us doing that individually and like doing it on the internet and discussing, it's perfect. No, loved it. Thanks for that. I'll head out now, but thank you, Jamin. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Magna. Thank you so
It was
much.
so
Very
nice
nice.
joining.
See you soon.
See
Thank you.
you.